multi-rotors for videography purposes. And just out of show of hands, because we can talk about some other things too in just a little while, like mapping and things like that. Fly it until it goes away from you, and then if it comes back, you're good to go forward.
They're about 400 bucks. They go really fast. There's no GPS. It's a FPV experience. Really hard to get. The demand is 10 times the supply.
I'm brand new. Never touched one of these things yet.
I would strongly recommend against it and get one of these.
Oh no, now that's a good first option.
Then that.
Absolutely. Because you will have failures, and then you'll need to be able to manually control it and go back to flying. The computer is going to fail.
The beauty of it is, unlike flying one of these big hexcopters or octocopters, and it crashes and you're out 50 to 1,000 bucks. This thing you can throw like a frisbee into a wall and go back out and just change it proper, and you're flying again.
Building them gives you a basic understanding of the components. If anything fails on the field, you know how to replace it, and you know how to communicate with people.
The soldering can be tricky. There's about 45 solder joints on here, and we work in teams with. We bring our own gear. They got some great gear here, and we can cut the soldering time by 90% by working in pairs.
Like 3 months ago, I bought a Unique 500, and I'm quickly finding that camera isn't going to do the job for me. Not hardware.
What was that?
Not hardware.
Absolutely. That's like the Matrix. When they did the, you know what I mean? When the camera goes, and they get those parabolic movements. I mean, if you get that out of a drone, that would be just sick. So yeah,
it was under 200 bucks. The gimbal.
What was the name of the camera?
Was SJC 5000 plus. It's 180. The gimbal was 100 bucks, and it was pretty plug and play. It's got the Panasonic 16 meg sensor in it, which is what we were looking for, because sometimes we got to crop the pictures a lot.
That can do 4K for pretty cheaply, all things considered. But you're going to need a shitload of storage, because it's not 4 times as much storage, especially if you're shooting in RAW.
I had a bug up my ass about directors wanting to shoot 4K, and then I'm like, well, we don't do 4K, I can rent it for you, and then we end up parting ways. So I do see the benefit when you can actually take that crop, but I don't think I would be producing a lot of imagery in 4K for the general public. There's no reason for it to be on the internet. Eventually we should all start talking about what this industry's pricing structure looks like, because right now we're low, we're high, some of us are getting priced out, some of us deserve to have a really big price tag, some of us are working towards it. One thing that we don't want to do in an emerging technology, in a new industry, is set the bar real low and just give it away. That's going to hurt all of us. Homeowners insurance.
Does anybody have to go provide a COI when they do an event?
Yes. Yeah, Brian and I provide COIs for people all the time. Does anybody else have any other insurance policy carriers that they could mention?
I have a transport risk, and they do cover my equipment.
Yeah.
So they're providing you with liability and they're covering your gear.
Apparently the magic word was umbrella insurance. So if you have all of this plus umbrella insurance for your company, that seems to kind of take care of pretty much everything.
Definitely a lot of different things that you want to consider. I'm not going to read all of this to you, but ultimately you do want to have somewhat of a script. If it's fly by the seat of your pants, show up early enough that you can really look at your surroundings and use your creative eye to start seeing what could be interesting. I mean, ultimately you want an establishing shot, you want to show everyone where you are. You want to do a little bit of aerial, but don't get carried away by aerial. What I've found is that this thing is way better when you think about it as a camera without boom or jib limitations. You know, so when you get too high, when everything's just soaring, you kind of lose perspective. You just let your camera linger and have that action come to you. A lot of times we get carried away by moving this thing around, which does add a lot of drama, but sometimes if there's a lot going on, feel free to just let that camera linger, especially if your client is not trying to sell a drone video and they're trying to sell a car video. Then let the activity be more about the car and less about the camera actually getting the shot.
We had 3 heads, we had 3 possible shots. We had 4 cameras running the whole time.
If you're blowing something up, I definitely think you need to be locked in.
Yeah.
So Again, so right there, I'm standing here. I haven't ever had a need for it. You mentioned it. It was confirmed that it's a thing, so you should definitely pursue that.
I was gonna actually have like 8 or 16 drones in a circle, so I could just do the matrix kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
And follow you wherever you go.
You'll have to leave it on. Oh, look at the wind! You aren't filming shit. Look at the wind. It's hustling.
You guys were like, oh, we're gonna do this and this. I'm like,
You're like, no, you're not. Definitely get stationary shots. This is the time when maybe you let the car do a lot of the talking. You know, get in a position to let it do that. Most often I'm actually using this rig, Blackmagic cinema camera. Hardly ever shoot with anything else. I have the GoPros, I'm actually looking to get the bigger Blackmagic, the cinema camera, the 4K, just for ground stuff. You know, you can fly it. It's going to take a much bigger helicopter to do so, but you know.
So this is the sweet spot between the GoPro and the 4K.
I think so.
Yeah, it makes sense.
If you have retractable landing gear, always hold on to your multi-rotor when you turn it on. Right, Brian?
oh, yeah.
We've done that before. The gear comes up and your camera goes. Yeah, you know, it's a decent battery. It's not the best. You save $100 on it versus anything else that's on the market. I've stress tested it for 23 minutes. I completely killed the battery. In fact, we shot it with an AR-15 afterwards because it was gone. It wouldn't charge again. But 23 minutes total flight time. We usually run them for 15 minutes.
Well, that's a 1C. What were you running before that, isn't it?
On this?
Yeah, isn't that a 1C battery?
That's a 15C battery. How many takes have you ever seen that are 15 minutes long? Yeah. You know, you got to be a genius to pull that off. 15 minutes, stress tested to 23. So if I had to burn a $150 battery, I could fly it for 23 minutes. You want to be down well before that. You always want to know what your voltage is while you're flying. You want to calculate how much load is being picked up by the motors. You ultimately want to land your multi-rotor, and then the voltage is going to come right back up to the rest of you. You can set it eternally, but I found, especially with DJI stuff, the voltage alarms and all that suck. They'll fuck you every time. Hey, I'm gonna tell you to make him go around again, or I'll give him a thumbs up.